Hi there, a very good morning and good afternoon to all of you, depending on wherever you're watching me. And this is Simply Stocks, and I'm live in this session with you all. And slightly late, about 20 minutes late, was working on some numbers of this company that I have just mentioned. And so we'll discuss about this company, and I'll also answer your queries, and we'll discuss about the markets which have been doing pretty well recently. The performance of the market has been pretty decent. So we'll discuss as to where we see the mid and small cap index go to, or how our mid and small cap would perform going through. So we'll see that as to how the performance would be. So we'll discuss all that. Let more people join in. I hope you all are doing well, and you're trading well in the market, because the markets are giving you opportunities. On Patreon, I have given some calls since January, and they have been working fine, more or less, apart from 3 4 calls. So that tells me that overall the market is doing fine, and it's just that you have to pick the right stocks to make that 20 30%, 15% in this market. If you are in those right stocks, you will be able to gain pretty decent traction on those stocks per se. uh, so let me just brief you as to what all things we'll discuss about in the coming, you can say, 20 30 minutes that we are here. So basically we will do analysis of the small cap index as to where it is headed, where it is right now, and how far we can see it go to. I mean, is there a chance that the small cap index could bounce back now? Where could it go to? That's the first part that I'll discuss. The second thing is I'll discuss about this gas distribution company which has come out with very strong numbers. And the third thing is when I'll discuss about as to how the performance, or I'll answer your queries as well as to whatever queries that you would be having. So all these will be part of the live session today. A very good afternoon to all. And before we begin this session, in just a little bit of discussion about sports overall. So in FIH Pro League Women, Australia drew with China, which is interesting. China is coming as a huge force now in the women's hockey, as far as women's hockey is concerned, after changing their coach, and they have a European coach at the moment. And since the last year's FIH Pro League, they have done really well. So if you remember, if somebody follows it, last year it was India who were part of it, Indian women's side, 21-22, and India beat China 8-0, 7-0 or 8-0 in the first of their matches. Eventually, India went on to finish third, a commendable third, behind Argentina and Netherlands, which was a big thing, but there was no Australia or New Zealand playing in that tournament. But India finished third. This time around, China also participated, and they are doing pretty fine. Drew with Australia in one of the matches, and I think lost on the penalties. And Australia are doing well against other teams like Germany and Spain, etc. So that is going on one hand. India Australia begin their second test tomorrow. Looking forward to that. The pitch at Firosha Kotla is slightly different. So let's see how the combination would be and how that turns out. And currently, New Zealand are playing England in Auckland, and that's a very interesting encounter that is taking place. A day night test, perhaps the first day night test, if I'm not wrong, in New Zealand, and magnificent performance by a number of players. Ben Duckett doing extremely well, and one or two of their middle order players doing well. And we are seeing England score at 5.5, 6 runs per over, and then declaring, and now New Zealand are one down the last time I saw it. So that's an interesting test match going on. Since it's a day night test match, so hoping to watch major portion of it, because it will begin around 8 a.m., 7:30 a.m. India time. So that's an interesting concept that New Zealand has come out with, which will help viewers here in India to watch matches from there easily. So that's another thing that is going on. India has sacked the men's hockey coach Graham Reed, he's gone. So let's see which new coach comes in. And really, the performance in the World Cup hockey wasn't that great at all. We could not make it to the quarterfinals. So that was something that was expected. So that's what going on in the sports arena. Sania Mirza, the Indian women's stalwart, probably uh, retires this month. So that's something to ponder upon as to how her performance has been against odds over the last since probably I think 17 18 years in the international arena, and even before that she has been playing pretty well. So I think around 20 years she has been into tennis and doing well. I have followed her career pretty closely earlier. So uh, it's something that to look upon, because later on we have not seen any women's Indian tennis player, especially in singles or doubles for that matter, to come up to that rank. So tennis is something where India is now lagging behind. We have seen India lose in the Davis Cup to Denmark, a tie that they could have won if they would have played their cards well. I think they could have won that tie, but they lost in Denmark. The tie took place. So overall, things are not that great in tennis, but things are looking up in other sports, especially in cricket. So one more thing is that India are now number one in Test, T20, and one day internationals. And being a follower of Indian cricket since 1987, 88, post the 87 World Cup, uh, I'm really proud of what the country is doing in terms of cricket at the moment, especially with the women's IPL. Although I don't follow T20 cricket that much, but to see Smriti Mandhana being bought for 3.5 crores, and even women's cricket being treated the way it is currently is pretty satisfying, considering how someone like Mithali Raj played during the late 90s, early 2000, and we had Diana Adelji and many other women's players who were part of it, Anjum Chopra and so on and so forth in the 90s and in 2000s. And India relatively did fine in that period as well. So I feel now the credit has been given to the women's cricket team. They are doing well in the T20 World Cup, winning against Pakistan and the West Indies. That they're going to take on England on Saturday, but the big matches are still to come with the probably the semi-finals. India should qualify for the semi-finals, so that is something to look forward to. So overall, on the sports front, we are doing well. There's a lot that needs to be done in tennis. We'll see how things pan out there. But interesting times ahead with the second test between Australia and India, and then we have England, New Zealand playing at the moment, and the other events that are going to begin. So as I see, more people have joined in at the moment, and so let's just discuss about this company first and the market. So let's just point out on the market. So the markets are doing fine. Markets are as we expected in a range bound uh, manner, and I feel that this will continue at least throughout this month. So 18,100 to 17,500, even 17,000 is not ruled out here. Now the mid and small cap are showing some gusto, some move. So that is where I'm going to discuss today, not the Nifty per se, and probably where this mid and small cap rally, especially BSC small cap, is going to go, and how that performance would pan out. So let me take you to my laptop, and on the laptop screen, and we'll discuss about the small cap index on the money control website altogether. So here I am on the money control website, and this is the BSC small cap that I'm talking about. 28,155 it is the level we are talking about. So it's around 5-6% down from its highs. It's not down a lot. And let me just show you a 1 month chart of it, or probably yes, a 1 month chart of the small cap index, or just over a month, as to how the performance has ended up being. So we have seen that the markets fell sharply in January from around 28,900, 29,000 levels, and the fall has been so sharp it went to around 27,000 or so, and now there is some sort of a recovery. Now the major resistance point at the moment for the market is 28,200, 28,400. This region is a resistance, and currently we are right there. So there are two things to this. Either the Nifty will fall and the market or the small cap index will go back to levels of under 27,500, or the Nifty will stabilize over the next 2 weeks and we could see a sharp rally in all small cap, you can say, arena. And if we see a 3 month chart of the small cap index, we could definitely look at a 1,000 point rally on the BSC small cap index in a very short term, probably 2 3 weeks. We'll see that happening, and the stocks could go up 10 15% in that period. So I feel we are in the latter bracket. We could see this rally, and eventually from April onwards, the huge rally could be upon us between April and July. So, our strong support lies around these 27,000 levels, and we are looking at 29,000 and even 30,000 over the next 3 4 months. I believe that we are set for a move in the stocks that are away from the Nifty. And taking that discussion forward, I bring to you one stock, and that is with the name of Mahanagar Gas. This is the city gas distribution company that I wanted to talk to you about. So we are at the screener website. Mahanagar Gas trading at 900, 907 levels. Although it seems that it is at a high or closer to the high, but if you look at its chart from a 3 year perspective, then you'll see that its high, all-time high, were made around 1230, 1240, and this was around June of 2021. So it has been quite a while, nearly 2 years, since we saw such kind of a rally in Mahanagar Gas to those levels. So around 900, it is still very interestingly poised. It is not a level where you will say that okay, it has gone from 650, 700 levels to 900, so let's not buy it, it has already run up. But this is the time really to get into something like Mahanagar Gas. Actually, now on in, it was in my watch list 2 years back, and now I think it will come back into my watch list the way it is performing. And so as we see it now, let's just take out the 6 months chart, and you'll see the smooth ride that the company has had from October onwards. In October, the stock was around 780 and has now moved to 900. Now, the biggest, you can say, resistance for the company is around 910, 920 levels, the current levels that it is trading at. So, what we believe at the moment is that over the next, you can say, year or so, the company is set to do well. So I'll discuss about the numbers in a bit, but basically what the company does is have a gas distribution networks all over, you can say, West India. So in Gujarat, in parts of Maharashtra, they have their network. They have their network in Delhi, and the company is doing well in that arena. Now, the problem happened when the gas prices went up sharply last year in April, May, and that is why from June onwards the stock started to decline due to the fact that their cost went up sharply and greatly. So their numbers dipped, their margins dipped a lot, and so we'll discuss about all this going back to the website on screener as to how the margins dipped and how the margins have came out, how the margins have come out this time around, on how the performance has been. So if we go back to the numbers front, we'll see how margins dipped and what has been the numbers in December. So if we see here, these are quarterly numbers. So if we see, first of all, we see September numbers here. So basically, what happened last year compared to here was that the numbers started to become much better. So if you look at it here on the quarterly numbers front, in December, what they did was 1670 crores with expenses of 1415. So a total of 256 crores was the operating profit that came out, which is a margin of around 15%. Now, in September also they had margins of 16%, in June they had 20%, but last year December numbers were extremely disappointing. So people were expecting that this year also numbers might not be that great, and they have a good 2 3 good quarters, and then numbers started to dip. So will that be the case again? But if you compare year on year here, what has happened is there are two things. First of all, quarter on quarter, the margins have remained stable. So that is what the company, I'm sorry, that is what the street has liked. That 16% margin in September has only become 15%. There's not much of a pressure there, although sales have improved quarter on quarter by around 8%, 7 8%, from 1560 to 1670 crores. Another thing is, on an year on year basis, if you see December last year, 1028 crores, even with an other income of 22 crores, it's around 1050 crores. We have a situation where here it is 1700 crores. If we include other income, then the December sales is around 1700 crores, which is a sharp jump from around 1050 crores in December. So that is one thing. Second thing is the margin. So eventually the operating profit came out to be 103 crores, and margins were 10%. This year the margins are 15% and a profit of 256 crores, which is 150% jump. Then if you look on the bottom line, post depreciation etc., profit before tax is 227 crores, and quite evidently profit before tax here is only 75 crores, and the gulf gets larger when we look at the final profitability of 57 crores net profit in December of 21 versus 172 crores, exact 3x of the numbers that they produced in December 21. What that meant was that they had an EPS of 17 and a half rupees, which gives me an idea that in March quarter, if they replicate this, because March was also when the company did around only 1087 crores, not much of an improvement on December. So if they improve sales by around 7 8% in December, so what we are looking at is a pretty decent jump from 1700 crores that we are looking at. We are seeing that the numbers could improve to somewhere closer to 1840 crores. So 1840 crores sales could come in March, and against something like in March it was around 1100 crores. Against 1100, 1840 is a similar kind of a jump, and eventually net profit, which came out to be in March around 132 crores, uh, uh, which was around 132 crores, could come out much better. Remember that in March they had margins of 20%, but this time around margins could be around 16 17%. So that will be hit, but overall numbers should be good. Another point here is, why did the numbers dip in September and December? The major reason for the dip in numbers were margin pressure. So there was pressure on the margin in last year in September and December. There was a lot of cost because of the fact that there was higher, you can say, raw material cost, and gas prices really went up sharply. This time around, gas prices have cooled off, and that has meant that the margins have improved. So that's why last time or last year, from June, July onwards in 2021, the stock started to fall. So if you look at the stock from June 21 levels, we are seeing that eventually stock went down, and again it tried to went up in June, July, but once the numbers were out for the June quarter in August, the stock again went into a hiatus in 22. So 21 and 22 numbers weren't that great, and eventually what happened was the stock fell from around 1240 levels all the way to somewhere around 700 levels. That was a fall of around 45% fall in the stock. So now it's time for the stock to probably perform. If we see technically speaking, where is it headed? So above 940, 930, we could definitely see a surge back towards 1200 levels or so, because of the kind of numbers it could produce in March. Again, on a PE basis, the stock is trading very nicely even after these numbers. The PE has expanded from 12.9 to around 13.7, but which is very reasonable if you look at a 3 year PE performance. It's around 13 and a half, which it is currently trading at. But since numbers should expand in the next 1 year, I think stock is set to do extremely well. Overall, on the balance sheet front, again, the company doesn't have, virtually doesn't have any debt. The debt is only 117 crores, whereas if you see, reserves have consistently increased over the years, slowly but surely, from around 1100 crores in 2013. In the last 10 years it has gone to 3700 crores, more than tripled. It's nearly 3700 crores, whereas debt has been only 117 crores at the moment. So that's pretty uh, good in that sense, that the balance sheet looks pretty strong. Debtor days has reduced to from around say around 17. So debtor days has remained stable, but it has reduced in the last 1 year from 22 to around 19 days. Inventory days has been stable, in fact has reduced from 11 to 5, which is also pretty good, and that tells you that the picture is changing on the business front for the company. The shareholding pattern, 32 and a half with the promoters. FIIs have remained invested in the stock. In fact, FII, you can say, were around 25.3% last year. In the last 1 year, they have increased their holding by around 4.5% to around 29.8%. If we see here in the December quarter, it's around 29.73%. DIIs have remained stable, although DIIs have reduced over this period, but I think they would get in now after this number as to how the performance has been. And public shareholding has gone down from March 22 of around 15 percent to around 12% now. So FIIs have gained, public shareholding has reduced. Things looking up for the company. I think you can definitely look at gaining somewhere around 25 to 30% in the stock. I think 25 to 30% could be made in Mahanagar Gas over this period. So that's my probably call on something like Mahanagar Gas. You can definitely have a look at it as to whether you can probably get into it at these levels. Do your own analysis. So disclaimers do apply that this is not a stock recommendation. People taking any position to any share that I talk about should do that with their own due diligence and research, and I'm not in favor or against any company that I talk about. So that's a call on Mahanagar Gas. I'm ready to answer your queries for the next 5 7 minutes. Please use the super chat and super sticker feature that will help me grow the channel. That will help you also ask me questions and eke out answers in greater detail. All right. Uh, Sterling Tool and Indorama. So Indorama, I am not that sure as to what needs to be done. I don't follow it. Sterling Tool is something that can be looked at, but be extremely careful. If you can understand this auto ancillary cycle, you can definitely get into it. But one thing I'm noticing that in ancillary, the larger players are exiting and getting into IT and pharma, where the selling is taking place, or the Zomatos or the new age stocks of the world, not just Zomato, but all the new age stocks of the world, Paytm and Policy Bazaar, etc. So there is churning going on. Auto ancillary fabulous 3 4 months. Banks have had that, so be careful in that sense. Uh, Atha Mirza, I think Sigachi is an exit. There are issues with what the company waiting for long time for a breakout. Don't know when gonna happen. I think the breakout is taking place at the moment. I think you should see 1200 over the next 6 8 months, even earlier than that, 1200 1250. And I think you should look to hold Mr. Pratap from a 2 3 year point of view. This is a very good company from a long term investment point of view. See, no returns. If you're not losing, I would say exit. I have been a big promoter, or not a promoter, but a big fan of a company like Bata. But the performance has not been there. So it's better to look at other companies, and probably a Mirza, or in other sectors where you can probably make some money. So that's the call. At the moment, it doesn't seem like that Bata is doing a lot of things. See, campus is decent, but again on difficult times, on very difficult market, when the markets fall a lot, campus footwear is something to be looked at. But you can look at other sectors where at the moment rally is not coming in, but it could come in. So mid cap IT is one, mid cap pharma is another from a 2 3 year perspective. Uh, I think Sandeep, you're asking of Sequence Scientific. So the major issue with Sequence Scientific is that the company itself is invested in Turkey. Around 14% of their investment is in Turkey. So I have a feeling that that is hurting them big time, and that's why where the numbers have gone down sharply. So I think it's better to probably look at other companies. Rather than sequent in the same domain. So, so Manoj, I'll have a detailed video on Kilpes maybe by tomorrow or next week. I'm analyzing the numbers more deeply, but I feel numbers are fine. Not very good, but not bad either. I think numbers are good. Uh, I don't know why there is no re-rating still happening. It has been nearly 3 years, 2.5 years that the stock has not touched even 500. So I think we have to look at it in a manner that okay, numbers are coming in and we are seeing that the valuations are becoming better. So we are expecting 37 rupees of EPS this year, and based on that, since it was majorly a non-pandemic year, so we can take this number and go and probably project it forward. So on 37 rupees at around 380 390 is trading at just about 10 and a half, 11 times maximum, 11 times, 10 times earnings, which is very interesting. I think we are headed much higher on the stock. So it's a hold, disclaimer, I hold the stock. I have increased my holding in the stock recently, so that's the call. EKI falling. So I did discuss about EKI Energy as to why the stock has fallen. There are fallen, and there are a lot of videos on it. If you are into it, I think you need to exit immediately, even now, even if you're losing 40, 50, 60%, whatever. Those who are not into it, do not get into it at the moment. There are issues that are taking place, corporate governance issues, so better to avoid Heidelberg Cement, the cement sector altogether. I'm not following, but overall on the cement sector, I'm pretty bullish. So that's the one. I think HCL Tech is something that is looking good around these 1100, 1120 levels that one can definitely buy. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot for being online. Please like and subscribe my channel. Hit the bell icon so you can get my videos straight away when I post it. And kindly support me on Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching.